The run-up to this year's Kentucky Derby has been filled with contentious debate over last year's disqualification after a drug test positive. And a major horse doping scandal that's unfolding in federal court is not helping matters either. Thanks for joining us for Wave News at 6. I'm Shannon Kogan.
I'm John Bold. Because this topic is so important, we start off tonight with my latest troubleshooter investigation, taking a deep dive into the depths of the drug testing rulings to see if the sport really has a problem.
Maximum security.
What happened at the Kentucky Derby in 2019 was bad enough.
So for the first time in the history of the Kentucky Derby, the horse that crossed the line first has been disqualified.
What happened afterward in 2020 was worse. Trainer Jason Servis accused of administering performance-enhancing drugs to his horses, including maximum security, in an alleged horse doping conspiracy against the prominent trainer and more than 24 others. That's already landed one of them in prison for 5 years.
Bob Baffert does it again. Medina Spirit has won the Kentucky Derby.
And in 2021, a Derby-winning disqualification, suspension, and ban after the horse that finished first finished drug testing with a betamethasone positive, then died after a workout in December.
So our program today is horse racing's legitimacy at stake at Derby 148.
Is horse racing's legitimacy at stake at the Kentucky Derby this year? And I would just say horse racing's legitimacy is at stake, period.
When the Louisville Forum tried to tackle drugs in horse racing this month, they got as fractious as Frisky Foals.
He said we didn't use betamethasone.
He said he's never had that product in his barn ever.
And betamethasone in a salve is permitted. There's no question about it. Everyone was scattered.
That's not true, Clark. That's not true. And
this is wrong. This is wrong. Let's listen to the facts and apply the rules.
Just answer my question, yes or no. Will the court decide that question?
So do I get...
I'm asking you.
No, hold on. Okay. The agency makes the decision.
I do not think any drug should be in a barn of any trainer.
That's nonsense. It shows that you've never been around a barn where horses are cared for and treated. That is nonsense.
The biggest question I get is why are drugs in the horse's system at all?
We had questions about that too. More specifically, how often are positive drug tests flagged and punished in Kentucky? So I went through every disciplinary action ruling by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission stewards in 2020, 2021, and thus far in 2022. All 180 of them, noting the infraction, the horse, the track, and the punishment. Yellow highlights are drug infractions, a total of 75, 28 of them at Churchill Downs, the most of any Kentucky track. Substances flagged include Cardarine, which the World Anti-Doping Agency banned as a performance-enhancing substitute. Trainer Judd Becker got a 365-day suspension and $10,000 fine, with stewards noting a history of numerous violations. Bob Baffert's 90-day suspension for betamethasone is in here too, from the Kentucky Derby. And he also pops up for a betamethasone positive in Gamine after the 2020 Kentucky Oaks.
The rule was put in place on August 26th. The race was September 3rd. So the horse had already been treated by the time the rule was put in place. That's patently unfair.
I shared my findings with many, including Animal Wellness Action Director Marty Irby.
Not surprising at all. I think, we've known for a long time that drugging in American horse racing runs rampant.
I read off the substances that got flagged and punished in post-race testing. Things like phenylbutazone, clenbuterol, naproxen, dexamethasone, methylcarbamol, Cardarine, and meloxicam.
Yes, there are medications that are given to horses. In many instances, they're given to cause them to perform better, but also to cover up injuries that they may have and mask pain. And a lot of times, those are the injuries that lead to breakdowns on the track.
And my point is, when you look at the regulatory authorities that we have in place now and the fact that you can have a violation for a legal medication, to me, the semantics and that constant inferring of something nefarious, trying to make it a negative, I think has really hurt our industry.
The CEO of the Horsemen's Benevolent and Protective Association says a massive study was just done on 243,000 samples in all of horse racing.
You come up with 99.57% violation free. So I think the integrity The facts bear out that we've done a very good job.
And I struggle as a fan of the sport when people say, oh, drugs and horses. These are things that are allowed to be in a horse. They push the envelope maybe a little bit to try to get to the race. It backfired. You should be punished.
It's just making the whole industry look worse and worse. And if you're looking at sports out there across the board, how they're identified, it's at the bottom of the barrel of all the sports in the United States.
As for what will be the biggest topic later this week, the Bob Baffert ban, we're going to take a closer look at that specific drug testing controversy Wednesday night at 6 here on WAVE, as David Mattingly has obtained the actual audio of all those secretly recorded phone conversations with Bob Baffert by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission.